Picture this. You're stepping out of your back door after a really heavy rainstorm. But instead of playing hopscotch over puddles and navigating a super slippery, muddy yard, you're strolling down a pristine, beautifully finished garden pathway. It's a literal masterpiece of natural stone, and it perfectly complements your home. Well, today on The Explainer, we're going to take that exact vision and turn it into a reality.
So let me ask you, did you know a simple pathway can completely change the geometry and functionality of your yard? Now, obviously, a path is fantastic for keeping your shoes clean, no argument there. But it's actually so much more than that. It is a fundamental architectural feature of your garden. It connects your different outdoor zones, it protects your delicate lawn from getting totally trampled, and it quite literally guides the eye through your landscape. Basically, it defines the whole outdoor space.
And look, if you've never tackled a project like this before, don't sweat it. Building a pathway is a super logical, highly achievable, step-by-step process. Here's our game plan for today. We're going to cover planning and design, materials and tools, preparing the ground, laying the slabs, finishing touches, and finally some inspiration. All right, let's jump right into step 1, planning and design. Because every great pathway starts with a vision and a trusty tape measure. Before you even think about lifting a shovel, you've got to know exactly where you're going. And you really shouldn't just guess your width. Our sources point out that main pathways, like the one leading from the street up to your front door, should be at least 1.2 meters wide. That gives enough room for 2 people to walk side by side or accommodates a stroller comfortably. But for secondary paths, say a winding little trail to a garden bench, 0.75 to 0.9 meters is perfectly fine. And here is a brilliant pro tip from the landscape engineers. To map out those beautiful organic curves before you mark the ground with paint, just lay down a flexible garden hose. It completely takes the guesswork out of visualizing the flow. Moving on to step 2, materials and tools. Selecting the right materials is absolutely vital here because it dictates how well your path is going to survive everything from freezing winter ice to scorching summer heat. This is actually where a lot of beginners make a critical mistake: choosing the wrong stone. If you're buying porcelain or natural stone slabs, thickness is everything. Our sources make it crystal clear a 1 centimeter thick tile is great for interior floors, existing concrete bases, or vertical facades. But for outdoor yard pathways laid on sand, gravel, or grass, no way. You absolutely require robust 2 centimeter thick slabs. Anything thinner installed over a loose base is just going to crack under the pressure of foot traffic and seasonal temperature shifts. As for the tools, let's quickly demystify the gear you need. You definitely don't need to rent heavy machinery to get started. You just need a shovel and a pickaxe, some geotextile fabric to separate the soil, crushed stone and stone dust for your base, a rubber mallet so you can tap the stones into place without breaking them, tile spacers, and a reliable spirit level. That's the whole shebang. These are basic, easily accessible tools, and they're truly all you need for a professional result. Okay, step 3, preparing the ground. Now, listen, I cannot stress this enough. A beautiful path is only as strong as the invisible foundation beneath it. Cut corners here, and your path is going to sink, wobble, or flood. So let's walk through these hidden layers. First up, you need to excavate 15 to 25 centimeters of topsoil. You've got to get all those roots and organic matter out of there, because as they rot, they create air pockets that will cause your path to sink later on. Next, lay down your geotextile fabric. Then bring in your main load-bearing layer, which is crushed stone. The sources specifically note to use a 0 to 40 millimeter jagged fraction. And hear me loud and clear on this, never ever use round pea gravel for your base. Round stones act like marbles. They just won't lock together or compact. Finally, you add a 2.5 to 4 centimeter leveling layer of fine stone dust or sharp sand. That is what you'll actually set your slabs onto. Now for the best part, step 4, laying the paving slabs. This is where all your hard work finally starts taking shape above ground. You basically have 2 distinct methods for setting your stone, and you need to choose the one that makes sense for your project. Dry laying means you're placing the slabs on grass, gravel, or sand. It's incredibly fast, super DIY friendly, and offers fantastic natural drainage for rainwater. Wet laying, on the flip side, involves a concrete screed and a highly elastic, frost-resistant glue, specifically class C2TE-S1. Wet laying is definitely a lot more work, but it's the mandatory ultimate solution if you're building something like a driveway that will see heavy vehicle traffic. Now, if you go with the popular steps in the grass dry lay method, here is a literal game changer of a pro tip directly from the experts. Keep your slabs about 0.5 to 1 centimeter below the grass level. Why? Well, when you're knocking out your weekend chores, burying the slabs just slightly below the soil line ensures your lawnmower blades will safely glide right over the stones without striking them. It's a tiny little detail that saves you massive headaches down the road. On the other hand, if you choose the concrete wet lay method, there's one crucial number you must burn into your brain: 5. You have to leave a minimum 5 mm joint space between your slabs outdoors. Remember, natural stone and porcelain expand and contract with the blazing sun and the freezing snow. If you butt those slabs right up against each other without that 5 mm buffer, the tension is going to cause the stones to crack and pop right off their foundation. Step 5, finishing touches and maintenance. These final steps are what lock the entire project together for literally decades of daily use. Let's talk about an industry secret, what the professionals call fugirene, or grouting and jointing. Grouting is not just about making the path look pretty. As our sources emphasize, the material you put between the stones acts as an essential shock absorber. It's the structural safety net against freezing and thawing, distributing the tension so the stones themselves don't break. If you dry laid your path, you've got a few awesome joint filling options. You can just leave open joints, which gives you instant drainage right into the gravel below, which is great for stopping puddles. You can sweep in fine sand, which firmly stabilizes the slabs together. Or you can use the absolute modern magic of polymer sand. Polymer sand sweeps in totally dry, but the second you wet it, the binding agents lock up tight. It stays slightly flexible, but it completely stops weeds from growing and ants from digging up your beautiful new pathway. So your installation is totally complete. Let's talk long-term care. Maintaining your new pathway is incredibly simple, but there is one major rule to remember. Step 1, sweep off those autumn leaves. The sources point out that decaying leaves release organic acids and tannins that will leave super stubborn, dark stains on your natural stone. Step 2 is just an occasional wash with a standard garden hose. Easy enough, right? And step 3, if you ever need a heavy-duty clean, just avoid highly alkaline cleaners if you used polymer sand, because those harsh chemicals can actually break down the polymer bonds. And finally, step 6, examples and inspiration. Because let's be honest, all of this hard work yields stunning, completely life-changing results for your home environment. Check out this authentic quote from a customer in our source materials who completely transformed their yard. They said, "My wife mostly installed it with a little help from me. We are very satisfied with the stone." Talk about massive social proof. If you're an absolute beginner sitting there wondering if you can really pull this off, yes, for sure, you absolutely can. With the right 2 cm stones and a properly compacted base, this project is incredibly DIY friendly. So, what you should really take away from this is that a well-planned pathway does so much more than just look good. It connects your space in harmony with nature, it protects your lawn, and it completely elevates your home's entire aesthetic. Just imagine the incredible feeling of achievement you're going to have every single time you walk down a path that you built with your own 2 hands. Let's do a super quick rapid-fire recap. Plan your rot perfectly using a garden hose for curves. Build a robust invisible base using crushed stone. Remember, no pea gravel. Layer 2 cm thick stones with care, keeping them slightly below the grass level. And finish strong with the right grouting to act as that critical shock absorber. Now, one very important disclaimer from our landscape engineering sources before you start. Always check for underground utilities before you dig, and definitely consult a professional if you're dealing with very complex or steep terrain. Which brings us to our final thought for the day. Take a look out at your own backyard. Visualize the space, the plants, the flow of traffic. Grab a tape measure, unravel that garden hose, and ask yourself, what shape will your new garden pathway take? Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer. Now get out there, grab a shovel, and happy building.